Throughout high school and into my adult life, it was always hard for me to figure out how to achieve the things that I set out to do. I would be so filled with passion and motivation to start a new project, but a few months or weeks later, it would kind of fizzle out and I would give up on it. And I know I'm not the only one. I'm sure thousands, if not millions of people have the exact same problem that I do, where you get so excited about something, you start a new project, and eventually it kind of fizzles out. But what I've learned is that everyone has the capability to achieve what they set out to do. It's already inside you. You just have to work that muscle. There are two definitions you need to know in order to achieve what you set out to do. First, there is motivation. The definition of motivation is the general desire or willingness of someone to do something. In contrast, there's discipline. The definition of discipline is to train oneself to do something in a controlled and habitual way. Motivation is what gets you started, but discipline is what gets you to the finish line. Motivation is short-term, discipline is long-term. So the question isn't really, how do I achieve what I set out to do? The question is, how do I become more disciplined? And lucky for you, I have some ideas. Welcome back to IRLQ, the channel where I talk about anything self-help and help you become the best version of you can be. Let's hop right on into the tips. Number 1, you need to be setting SMART goals. Now, I don't know if they just didn't teach me about SMART goals in high school or if I just wasn't paying attention, but I learned about SMART goals through a class in college. At the community college that I started college at, they make everyone take a course that basically teaches you how to study. Honestly, I think every college should require this class because it helped me so much. And actually, some of the things that I'm talking about in this video, I learned from that class. But one of the things that we were taught is about SMART goals. SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and timely. How do we take all of those and apply them to a goal? Let me tell you. For example, if your main goal is to lose weight, I want to lose weight, that is not a SMART goal in any aspect of the word. So let's go through the SMART acronym and make our goal a SMART goal. So we start with, I want to lose weight. Well, that is not specific. A specific goal that comes out of wanting to lose weight might be, I want to work out. Okay, that's specific. Also, that is action-oriented, the A in SMART goals. 2, measurable. We need to be able to track progress. So our goal is now, I want to work out. A measurable goal might be, I want to work out 3 days a week. We already went through the action-oriented. We have an action attached to our goal. It's that we want to work out. Realistic is going to be different for everyone, and it depends where you are in the progress of achieving your goal. For example, if your goal is to bench 200 pounds, but you haven't worked out at all for the last year, that's not really a realistic goal, is it? We're going to go into this a little bit more, but you want to break down that larger goal into something more achievable. Instead of saying, I'm going to work out for 2 hours every single day, that might not be realistic for you. What a realistic goal may be is, I'm going to work out for 30 minutes, 3 days a week. That's realistic. And timely. You want to have a time frame in which you will achieve the goal. So if we're putting all of our SMART acronym together, it would be, I am going to work out for 30 minutes, 3 days a week for the next month. It is specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and timely. Now, what I was saying earlier about breaking down big goals into smaller ones to make them more realistic, that is very, very important when you're goal setting. There's a YouTuber, her name is Jill's Guerin, I think is how you say her last name, and she uses the analogy of a ladder. Now, if your ultimate goal is to bench 200 pounds, right? But you can't bench 20 pounds, you're trying to jump from the bottom rung of a ladder to the top one. Instead, you might want to go to the next rung, which may be benching 30 pounds, then benching 40, 60, 100, all the way up to 200. You don't want to jump too high up on the ladder because it won't be realistic and ultimately you won't achieve it. The next tip is to prioritize. You need to learn how to prioritize your tasks if you're going to get anything done and if you're going to achieve your goals. A technique that I personally use is the Eisenhower matrix. I will put a visual on screen over here, but I will try to explain it as well. In the top left corner, you put tasks that are urgent and important. In the top right, you will put tasks that are not urgent but important. In the bottom left is urgent and unimportant. And in the bottom right is not urgent and not important. This is a good way to start prioritizing your tasks. This is one of the methods I learned in that class I was talking about. And I have been using this method for years now, and it works wonders for me. There is actually an app, I don't have my phone in here, but it is called TickTick, Ticktick, and they have a Eisenhower matrix feature on the app. I actually track all my habits through that app. I put all of my tasks, like I use it as a calendar basically. I would definitely check that out if you are interested in trying out the Eisenhower matrix method. Another method is the eat the frog technique. And this is where you tackle your worst or least attractive task first. And if you have ADHD, I would say this is very helpful with executive dysfunction. If you tackle the thing that you really don't want to do first, you can kind of use the tasks that follow as a reward. So let's say you love history, but you hate doing math, right? You might do your math homework first, so then you can have your history homework as a sort of reward. This way you get your tasks that you don't really want to do done first and out of the way. Another technique that I actually had not heard of before researching for this video is the Ivy Lee method. So the first step is at the end of the day, write down the most important 6 tasks for the next day. Don't write any more than 6, just write down 6 tasks at most. Then you want to prioritize those 6 tasks in order of importance. Then, the next day, you will only work on task 1 until it's completely finished before you move on to task 2. Complete task 2 fully, then you move on to task 3, and so on and so on. If you get to the end of the day and you still have tasks left over, those automatically become the top tasks of the next day's work. I hope I'm explaining that in a understandable way. I personally have not tried the Ivy Lee method, but it kept coming up in my research, so I thought I would mention it. The next tip is time management. There are a few ways to manage your time more effectively, one being time blocking. This is very simple. Basically, you just dedicate certain amounts of time to a task. So if you have a presentation coming up at work, you might spend 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. working on the introduction. Then you might spend 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on the first slide of your presentation. And just get as much done as you can in that time frame. Next is to limit distractions. And this may sound like common sense, but I know that I don't turn off my phone when I'm doing homework. And I know you probably don't either. So at the very least, silence your phone, ideally turn it off. And something that helps me a lot is getting out of the house. When I'm home, I have so many distractions. I have the bed, I have the TV, I have my Switch, I have my phone. I have so many things that can distract me from what I need to be doing. But what I've been doing this semester is going to the library to do homework. It doesn't matter if I only have 30 minutes of work to get done or if I have 3 hours of work to get done. I always go to the library to do my homework so that I have the least amount of distractions possible. Another technique that I have been implementing this semester is called the Pomodoro technique. It is where you will do 25 minutes of work, then have a 5-minute break, 25 minutes of work, 5-minute break, and then after that third block of 25 minutes, you get a 15-minute break. I have been trying this out because everyone suggests it in all the videos, in all the articles. They all say the Pomodoro technique is great. But as someone with ADHD, it is not great for me. When I get that 5-minute break, I do not want to do another 25 minutes of work. Actually, I don't know if that's the ADHD in me or what. I feel like it is because once I get in the flow and I break that flow with a 5-minute break, it like disrupts it. Like I can't go back. So if you are neurotypical, the Pomodoro technique might work a little bit better for you, but for me, it doesn't work that well. The next tip within time management is stop multitasking. Did you know that your brain literally cannot focus on 2 things at once? When you are multitasking, your brain is just constantly switching its attention between the 2 things you're multitasking. It is not focusing on 2 things at once. I don't know if this has happened to you, but it's definitely happened to me where I've been listening to a lecture while also reading the chapter, and by the end of it, I have no idea what they talked about in the lecture, and I don't know what I just read. That is because your brain is constantly switching its attention between 2 things, so you don't absorb anything. So if you take away anything from this video, let it be stop multitasking. Now, these next 2 tips kind of go together, so I'm gonna mash them into one. It is to create routines and to be consistent. Having a morning and night routine is great for your mental health, but having a work routine is great for discipline. And this is going to take some trial and error before you find your work routine. But implementing a few of the different methods, trying things out, you can come up with a routine. For example, if you go with the Ivy Lee method, you have your 6 tasks for the day, and you try the Pomodoro technique, that may work for you. Once you have your routine down, you have to be consistent. Did you know it takes 21 days to form a habit, but it only takes 3 days to break a habit? Consistency is the key to forming great habits as well as forming discipline and working that discipline muscle. And lastly, you need to have an action plan. In James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, he talks about what is called an implementation intention, which, quote, is a plan you make beforehand about when and where to act. That is how you intend to implement a particular habit. The implementation intention is in the form of a sentence that you write down. You don't just keep it in your head, you need to write it down. The sentence is, I will behavior at time in location. That is the format. Some examples in the book are, this is habit stacking. Hold on, I'm too far ahead. Some examples are for meditation. I will meditate for 1 minute at 7 a.m. in my kitchen. For studying, I will study Spanish for 20 minutes at 6 p.m. in my bedroom. For exercise, I will exercise for 1 hour at 5 p.m. in my local gym. I'm going to read you a little excerpt about a study that was conducted with this technique. In 2001, researchers in Great Britain began working with 248 people to build better exercise habits over the course of 2 weeks. The subjects were divided into 3 groups. The first group were simply asked to track how often they exercised. The second group were asked not only to track their workouts, but also read some material on the benefits of exercise. Finally, there was the third group. These subjects received the same presentation as the second group, which ensured they had equal levels of motivation. However, they were also asked to formulate a plan for when and where they would exercise over the following week, specifically using the formatted sentence that I told you earlier. In the first and second groups, 35 to 38% of people exercised at least once per week. But 91% of the third group exercised at least once per week, more than double the normal rate. Having an implementation intention literally increases your chances 91% of actually doing it. That is an insane statistic. Having an action plan will lead to results. It has been proven. I hope you take some of these techniques, some of these tips, and implement them into your life. And I hope it helps you work that discipline muscle and help you achieve what you set out to do. Thank you so much for tuning into IRLQ. I appreciate the time that you spend with me. I really do. If you liked the video, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe to see more of me. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.